Hello everyone, myself Professor Dr. Rajashri Lavade, Assistant Professor, DG College of Commerce, Satara. Today I am going to talk about pre-consent and legality of object. Pre-consent is an essential prerequisite of a valid contract. An agreement is valid only when it is made out of free consent of the parties. The parties to the contract should have identity of mind. They should be free and they should freely willing to enter into a contract. According to Section 30 of the Indian Contract Act, two or more persons are said to consent when they agree upon the same thing in the same sense. There will not be contract if the parties have not agreed upon the same thing in the same sense. When each party has different thing in mind, the thing in a different way, there is no consent. For example, an illiterate woman executed a deed of gift in favor of her nephew, under the impression that she was executing a deed authorizing her nephew to manage her land. The evidence showed that the woman never intended to execute such a deed of gift, nor was the deed ever read and explained to her. Then, in this Baladevi vs. Shanti Majumdar, in this case, court held that the deed was void and inoperative. That means this deed will not be enforceable, and this deed will not be enforceable under the court of law. In this case, the consent of the woman is totally absent, and hence the contract is void and not enforceable at law. Absence of consent or free consent may be due to error, due to the nature of the contract, identity of the party, or error regarding the subject matter of the contract. When there is no consent, there is no contract. Salvan describes it as error in consensus. If there is no consensus either, there is no contract. Free consent, which is defined and elaborated, explained under Section 14 of the Indian Contract Act. Consent is said to be free when it is not caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, and mistake. When the consent is not free or it is obtained by coercion or other means, the contract will be void contract, and it can be voidable at the option of the parties. If you would like to understand the valid contract, we have to understand these basic concepts. Now dear students, you have learned all these concepts in your earlier lectures. Offer and acceptance, the consent of the party, consideration, valid contract, lawful object, competent party, intention to create legal relationship or legal obligation. So all these are essential elements of a valid contract. Let us now discuss the element of a free consent. When there is no coercion, when there is no undue influence, when there is no fraud, or there is no representation and mistake in the contract, and contract is with the free consent, with the free will of the parties, then that contract is valid contract. In this particular lecture, we have to see to give free consent or to receive free consent, agreement, legal relationship, competent to contract, free consent and consideration. These are the 5 ingredients which are very important. Among these, free consent plays very important role. Now in detail we will discuss about the elements which are causing or which are polluting the free consent of the parties. We will talk about Section 14 of the Indian Contract Act, which says consent is said to be free when it is not caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, and mistake. So, first we will discuss about coercion. Coercion means forcing or compelling a person to enter into a contract. Here the consent of the party is obtained by use of force or threat. Section 15 of the Indian Contract Act defines the term coercion as the committing or threatening to commit any act forbidden by the Indian Penal Code, or the unlawful detaining or threatening to detain any property to the prejudice of any person, whatever, with the intention of causing any person to enter into an agreement. So, if the consent is received or consent is obtained by using force or by using fear or unlawful detaining or threatening to any person's property, then in that case also that consent will be treated as consent which is received by using coercion. There are essential elements of coercion. There must be a threat to commit any act forbidden by the Indian Penal Code. There must be a clear utterance of threat by a party. It may involve unlawful detaining or threatening to detain the property of another. The coercion must be exercised with the intention of causing the other party to enter into a contract. The coercion may be employed at the party to the contract or any other person. It is not necessary that the Indian Penal Code should be applicable at the place where coercion is exercised. In the case of Amiraju vs. Sessional, the court held that coercion may aim against any person, stranger, and also against a good, for example, unlawful detention. Now we'll discuss about the next element, that is undue influence. Section 16 of the Indian Contract Act provides that a contract is said to be induced by undue influence where the relations subsisting between the parties are such that one of the parties is in a position to dominate the will of the other and uses that position to obtain an unfair advantage over the other. So here we can see that the person is using his dominance, his pressure to acquire the will or the assent of the other person. So in that case also it may be treated as an undue influence. Now we'll talk about fraud. Section 17 of the Indian Contract Act, which defines fraud. According to Section 17, fraud means and includes any of the following acts committed by a party to a contract or by anyone with his convenience or by his agent with intent to deceive another party or his agent to induce him to enter into contract. So here, essential ingredient of fraud are as follows: representation or assertion relating to fact. It made with the knowledge that it is false or without belief in its truth, made other party to act upon his claim. The person acting is to make damage, and this is very important. important. In Taylor versus Aston case, court observed that the defendant not necessary to show that he knew the fact to be untrue. Statement of untrue fact for the fraudulent purpose considered as a legal and moral fraud. The conduct of representation of fraud must be deliberately dishonest. Active concealment of fact with the knowledge or belief of the fact is also amount to fraud. There are certain exceptions to the general rule. Silence not amounts to representation and not amount to fraud. Are insurance contract, family settlement, contract for allotment of shares in company, parent and child, guardian and ward, which are required disclosure and good faith. Misrepresentation is a false representation. Section 18 of the Indian Contract Act discusses about misrepresentation. Misrepresentation means a positive claim not guaranteed by the information of the person who creates it. Is not true, be true even if he believes. Consent obtained by misrepresentation is voidable. Misrepresentation is two kinds: innocent misrepresentation and negligent or fraudulent misrepresentation. Innocent misrepresentation, in which the assertion is false but the person making it believes it is true and not know it is false, so damages cannot claim but the contract can be cancelled. The negligence or fraudulent misrepresentation, in which breach of duty, negligence of a party make loss to opposite party. So this is called as the consent by misrepresentation. Now we talk about mistake. If mistake is present in a contract or in an agreement, then that contract will not be also enforceable by law. If the consent acquired by mistake, then that contract will be a void contract. As per section 20, agreement entered by the parties of contract under mistake of fact, such agreement is void when both the parties to the contract are under a mistake of fact on essential subject matters, identity, price, or any other essential matters of the agreement, no contract arises. There are two kinds of mistake: common mistake and mutual mistake. In common mistake, both the parties make the same mistake. In mutual mistake is misunderstanding between each other. So here, my dear students, we have discussed about the elements which are polity or causing free consent. It should not be present, or the contract should not be based upon all these mistake, misrepresentation, fraud, coercion, or undue influence. If that is present in the contract, if the consent is acquired by using this force, fraud, or cheating, or misrepresentation, then that contract will be treated as void contract. So finally, we will conclude: consent implicit, a meeting of mind. If there is no consent and there is no meeting of mind, if consent obtained without free of mind, here the consent under some influence. So free consent is essential ingredient in contract. So these are my references. You can use Business Regulatory Framework, the book written by Dr. J.S. Chowdhury, which is available in our library. You can use Indian Contract Act 1872 by Avtar Singh. There are other reference material on websites, so you can use any one of these. Thank you.